Even if you don't have an infant, I want you to listen to this because here's what the most important thing is about ages and stages, and that is if something goes wrong in a particular stage, your child hasn't met what he or she needs to meet in that stage, and some of the behavior you're seeing when they're older is indicative of what didn't happen in a previous stage. And so part of your work in understanding your older child and meeting that child's needs and responding to what that child's behavior is telling you and to decode what that child's behavior is telling you is to go back in previous stages and make sure they got what they needed back then. Now, you can't give it to them in the same way, but you can always be aware that this is something they're craving, that they're still looking for and needing, and that their behavior later on in life could be as a result of not having certain needs met during those stages. So let's take a few minutes to just take a look at infants from the time a child is born until they're about 1 year old. And I talk about that on page 62 of the book. And so you can take a look at it now, or hopefully you read it during the week, or please look at it after this call during the week to reinforce for you, because what I'm going to say tonight I didn't take out of my book. I didn't think I needed to regurgitate what I already said in the book to you. This is new thinking and, new ways of me expressing it. So we know that infants communicate through their crying, and yet don't we all say that he's such a good baby, he never cries? What does that mean? He's such a good baby, he never cries. Does that indicate that the one who's crying is not such a good baby? It shouldn't. And we have to watch what we say, because the words we use and the things we say and what we allow other people to say about children indicates what we're thinking about children. And we need to change how we think about children. That's where our power is, to change what we believe, what we know, what we think about children. A baby who cries is not a bad baby, and a baby who lays there and doesn't cry is not a good baby, because a baby communicates through crying. So if the baby isn't crying a lot, it may just mean that his needs are being met, and he's one of these low-key, easygoing babies, and he's not asking for so much. But if you have a child who's crying, he's trying to communicate something to you. And some of the things we project onto babies, and to toddlers, by the way, too, is we say things, we think that we know why they're acting, quote, naughty. We say things like, she knows I'm a pushover, so she's trying to manipulate me. Or, he thinks he needs to always be the center of attention. Or, she's got a father's temper. She's crying just because she's mad at me. I'm telling you right now, especially infants, toddlers too, but especially infants we're talking about now, they do not intentionally cry to annoy you, to aggravate you, to get you to come over and give them undue, unnecessary attention. They can't. They have no brain ability to even contemplate that kind of stuff. If a baby is crying, it's because they need something. And it could be they need attention, and it's a legitimate need. Just because a child needs attention doesn't mean they're spoiled or they're bratty. Some children need more attention than others, and we'll talk about attention seekers and attention suckers later on in the course. But most children need attention, and so if they're crying for attention and you say he needs attention, that's not a bad thing. Think about yourself and your friends or your mate. Don't you need their attention too? The fact that you need their attention doesn't make you needy, unless it's off the chart to an extreme. So babies have no conscious, intentional behavior. You cannot spoil a baby in the first year by giving a baby attention. During the first year, the most important thing that a child must accomplish in that first year is to trust. A baby has to learn that he or she can expect a dependable and pleasurable response from the adult caretaker. Now, we used to say from the mom, because in most societies, it's the mommy. In our modern society, it isn't always the mommy for one reason or another. It could be the daddy, it could be a grandparent. It might, in some cases, be a caregiver in a daycare facility. There must be at least one adult in this baby's life who the baby learns to trust implicitly that this person is going to be responsive, that the baby is valued, that this person acknowledges that the baby can impact her surroundings. You hear that? That the baby impacts her surroundings, that when he or she cries, someone comes and takes care of him or her so that she can trust that life is good, that she is meaningful within this thing called life, and it is the first step to the development of positive self-esteem. Without this, the stages that come next are impacted in a negative way.